Good evening. My name is Leo Roy. I'm your DCR Commissioner, and thank you so much for joining us on an absolutely glorious night. So we'll try to move through our program quickly so you can get out there and enjoy it. We want to make sure that we've given you full information about the construction project that's about to start on Winthrop Shore Drive and give you every opportunity to ask questions and get your questions answered about what we're planning for you. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge some of your elected officials who are with us tonight. Barbara Bishop from Speaker DeLeo's office is with us, and also your town councilors, Heather Ingman. Next to Heather is Rich Boisian and Nick DeVito. Nick Del Vento, sorry. I read that too quickly. Nick, glad to have you here. This is one in a series of meetings of talking about this project, so I think none of this will come as a surprise. The important part of tonight's presentation is really to talk about the next phase, which is moving into construction, and you've probably seen our contractor already beginning their mobilization on the street. So I'm here on behalf of your governor, Charlie Baker, and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, and I also work for Matthew Beaton, who's your Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs. The DCR's mission is to protect, promote, and enhance our commonwealth of natural, cultural, and historic resources for the benefit of all. And I like to introduce this concept at our meetings because this is the balancing act that we do at the DCR between conservation and recreation. And almost no place does it come in more sharp focus than on your beach, because that's where we are balancing the conservation of the endangered species with the birds, with the recreational uses. And your community has really been very embracing of that balance, accepting that we do have to live with the birds, and we're trying ways to do that in a good way so that we're protecting those species for future generations while allowing as much recreation on the beach as possible. So our purpose here tonight, what we're trying to accomplish together, is to introduce you to the project team, to once again review the scope of work that we're planning, give you a little information about the construction plan and the schedule, and the thing that you're most concerned about is how is it going to affect me and our movements. So we're going to be talking about the transportation, the construction impacts, and the mitigation measures. We'll also talk about how we intend to keep communicating with you throughout the construction process, so you know who to talk to, and if you've got concerns, who you can reach out to. And finally, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask your questions and have them be answered. Let me introduce your project team. Mike Galvin, sitting at the table, is your project manager, and Jim Caputo is right here. He will be our eyes and ears on site for the whole construction project as our resident engineer. We're supported by our design consultants at WSP Parsons Bickerhoff, and Lisa Chandler is no stranger to you. She's been working on projects with us here in Winthrop for quite some time. And we're pleased to introduce our construction contractor, MDR Construction, and they're here representing MDR are Scott Whitney and Jason Walker. And with that, let me turn it over to your designer, Lisa Chandler, who's going to go over the project scope.
Shorter. Thank you, Commissioner. As he said, I've been here for about 10 years in various capacities working on this project, so I recognize many of you. There are some new faces. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm very excited to finally be bringing this for the final piece of construction. It's been a long time coming for everyone. So we're going to do a quick recap of just the scope of this project in its entirety, the final outcome of what the project will look like, and then we'll dive into just kind of the details of what you're going to experience during the construction. So for this final piece, for Winthrop Shore Drive, we are rehabilitating the sidewalks and the roadway in its entirety. So the entire roadway will be ripped up, and we're doing what we call full depth reconstruction. So everything gets ripped up and a full new section goes down. We're also improving the drainage system. All new catch basins and an underground infiltration system will be put in place. What that does is that allows us to do better flood management. I know right now the roadway floods a lot. Some of the catch basins are old or broken or clogged. Everything is coming out and all new materials are going in. We're improving accessibility. Right now the sidewalks are either undersized, and if they even are a proper width, they are not a proper slope. So all the new sidewalks will be completely ADA accessible. Both sides of the street, we're widening the sidewalk on the beach side to roughly 11 feet wide. And the sidewalk on the residential side will be about 6 feet wide, which is about a foot and a half bigger than what you see out there now. What we're also doing is we're adding raised crosswalks at all of the side street intersections so that you have a fully accessible path from one end to the other on the residential side without any wheelchair ramps or any issues changing grades. What we're also doing is we're adding some additional lighting on the beach side. We know that right now there's some dark spots. There's not a lot of light on the beach, so on the beach side of the road, we're adding additional pedestrian scale lighting to enhance the roadway lighting that is staying in place. We're also rehabilitating the intersection of where Beach Road comes in and kind of improving the sight lines, because right now it's a little dangerous the way you come in at an angle and you can't really make that turn properly without like kind of taking your life in your hands and pulling out and hoping someone sees you. So we're definitely trying to improve that. We've shown this at a couple of the other meetings. This is kind of a rendering of what it would look like. So what you see here is we widen the sidewalk, and we're also adding bump outs at certain locations to add some beach amenities, drinking fountains, shower towers, that kind of stuff. It's actually the same amenities that we installed down at Pearl that are already in place that you may have used already. What these also do is it shortens the crossing distance of Shore Drive, so you're not crossing quite as much width of roadway. And then what you'll have here is that this whole section here is actually going to be at the same level. So you're not going up, down, up, down, up, down. You're just walking straight along as you would if you were actually walking on this side. And if you're a car driving, what you would do is you'll have like a kind of tiny little speed hump, and then you'll enter Shore Drive. What that also does is it'll actually allow for some traffic calming. It'll force people to slow down because they can't just come whipping out of the side streets and onto Shore Drive like they do right now. We also, through a lot of public comment in the last go-around, we added a whole project area in the Highlands. So this whole kind of raised area here near the beach got added to the project scope. And this is kind of what you see right now. The wall's in pretty poor shape here. The sidewalks are all kind of cracked and broken, and you've got roots coming through and that kind of stuff. So what we're proposing, right in here is actually, for many of you, I'm sure you already know, the narrow gauge railroad used to come right through here. And this is kind of a picture of it. So this is the beach right here, and the railroad used to come right through and loop back through Crest Park and be on its way. So what we're proposing to do in the park here, all new sidewalk, a little bit of a raised seating area with some tables and chairs, some benches, all new landscaping. This kind of ode to where the railroad was is kind of like a feature strip simulating rail tracks. A shade structure here just because it is a lot of sunlight and there's not a whole lot for you to do. The existing stairs that were just recently rehabbed will stay, but it'll be all new handrails for you. The railing along the seawall is being replaced. The whole ramp sidewalk here is being replaced. The chain link fence is being replaced, so everything's going to look nice and new and be available for everyone. And up actually at street level here will be another shower tower and a foot wash and stuff like that, so you'll be able to use it. It's just utility connections kind of force it to be up here instead of down here. So that's kind of the overview of the project as a whole. The plan for construction right now, normal work hours, as they always are, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Any hours outside of that require special permission, and you'll be notified of that well in advance. And work outside of that certainly isn't starting before 7 a.m. It's not that kind of thing. Right now, the expected duration of the project is about 2 years, which sets them to finish somewhere in June of 2019. This includes working through the winter, so it's a full 2 years beginning to end. Right now, the proposed plan is to start down at the south end of the project at Beacon Circle and work their way north. It's typical for many projects to start at the low end and just keep working up the hill, so that's completely typical. What you'll see is in their work zones, they'll start with all the underground work, piping, drainage, that kind of stuff. Then they'll keep moving along down the road, and then they'll send another crew back once they've gotten sufficiently far ahead, and they'll come back and they'll do curbing and roadway and sidewalks and that kind of stuff. So you'll see them kind of leapfrogging, and it'll look a little bit of a mess, and then they'll come back and they'll keep just marching their way down the street. Right now, we anticipate the park in the Highlands being completed for use by summer of 2018, which would be next summer season. So that'll be available for full use while the roadway is still under construction at that time. So we're going to encounter a couple of things. There's the trucking route on how all materials are getting in and out, what that means for traffic and detours while they're working in the roadway, and what that also means for parking because they are working on the drive. So the trucking route is the same as it's been for all the previous contracts that can only use state roads. They're not allowed to use any local roadways. So what they'll do is they'll come in, they'll come down Winthrop Parkway, and then over Crest Ave, and then come in. So it's the way all the previous contracts have worked. Police escorts when needed for oversized vehicles during working hours. So they're not allowed to use side streets. I encourage you, if you do see a truck on a side street, please call and alert someone because they're not supposed to be there. So just be aware. Traffic management. What we had put into the contract, which is what I've previously mentioned at a couple of the other meetings, was that we were going to do a 24/7 kind of detour where if they were working north of Cutler, you had one traffic pattern, and if you were working south of Cutler, they had another. Cutler, since it is two-way and it is the primary emergency response route, we felt like that was the natural dividing line for ensuring that traffic moves swiftly. What the contractor's proposing, which actually works out a lot better for everyone, is that they would do kind of moving 500-foot work zones, and that they will locally detour you around said work zone just during working hours, and then at night everything on Shore Drive opens back up for two-way operation. So if they're working somewhere here, they might send you down and around and come back up, and then you can go back to your two-way traffic elsewhere. And then at night, the roadway back reopens, everything is plated over and safe, and you can go back to just regular two-way operations. So just really from the working hours is when you'll have these kind of temporary closures. And what would happen is some of these side streets might have to be temporarily two-way during those work hours just so you can get in and out if you live there. What they also can do is, say the work zone's right here and you live right here, there's police details there, the police might be able to just kind of usher you through. It depends on what activity is going on at the moment. But we're trying to minimize everyone's disruption for as much as possible by understanding that there's just some times that they have to get in to do certain pieces of work that's going to require shutting the road down. This also does keep in mind the emergency response route, and there will always be access for emergency responders regardless of if they have the road. There's always a plate on site, they can plate it over, and they will always allow emergency responders through if they actually have to come through where they're working. So what does all this mean for parking impact? So if they're working in a 500-foot work zone, that's about 22 to 25 parking spaces. Those parking spaces can't be turned back over at night because all the cars would have to be out by 7 a.m. for them to start work the next day. That leads to way too many people towing, and it's just a headache for everyone involved. So it's better just to leave it, understand that they're lost until the work is done, but the faster that they can do the work, the faster those spots get turned back over. As I said before, there is times where there'll be leapfrogging, so they might have multiple work zones at once. If we're talking 2 work zones, that's 44 to 50 spaces. It's not a long-term closure, so this is just kind of one of those things that we have to work through, and if it's finding that there's just nowhere else for cars to go, we'll have to identify how those work zones are set up, and maybe we have to shorten work zones. But for right now, this is the plan, and it won't be too often that there'll be multiple 500-foot work zones open at one time that you're losing half the parking at once. This project's being completely funded by DCR, both the design and the construction, so all of that is coming out of
your tax dollars at work.
All of that's coming out of the capital budget for DCR. As we mentioned before, and I know a lot of you have lived through the nourishment projects and everything we've done with that, so the communications plan is basically the same. We're setting up the email alert system that we had last time where we auto-generated the 2-week look ahead. So what it's going to do is you're going to get an email that's going to say, for these 2 weeks, you can expect to see the contractor doing X, Y, and Z. It'll outline approximately their location in the street, just so you have some idea. And it'll also give you a good idea of, well, if they're on this street today, they're probably going to be to my street pretty soon, and I just need to be prepared. To sign up for that, all you have to do is call that phone number there that you see on the screen or email MassParks I believe if you're already on the list, you're transferred? Okay, so if you already signed up for any of the previous contract email lists, you're automatically going to get it, but if you want to double check that you're on there, just email them again and they'll make sure you're there. As the commissioner mentioned, Jim Caputo is going to be the resident engineer. They already have his trailer on site down at the bathhouse. So that's his phone number. He will be in that office Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And you just go, stop in, say hi, make friends.
The guns at the door.
And I know that was a little quick, but it's actually a pretty straightforward project. It's long and there's a lot scope-wise, but mitigation-wise and project-wise, it's actually not that bad. So at this point, I can open it for questions. I'm going to leave this up here, so if you want tomorrow morning, a copy of this presentation will be on the website. Any additional information we post will be on the website. That's Jim's phone number there. If you want to sign up. So I'll just leave this up here just so you have it, so you can write everything down. But
if we could, we put up the microphones. If you could step up to the mic, just introduce yourself. That's the question. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I was just a little unclear as to, you're starting down at Beacon Street, so is it like you cut one section of the road and do everything to that section and then you move further down, or is it like you have to go all the way up Shore Drive to put the pipes in? Could you just elaborate a little?
yes, so what'll happen is they'll start down at the south end and they'll do all the underground piping in, say, a 500-foot section. And then they'll march down to another 500 feet and start doing the piping there, and they'll keep doing that. And once they've gotten a substantial distance ahead of that, they'll come back and start doing the roadway work, because a lot of that work is straight and really straightforward and moves a lot faster than the underground piping.
So how far do you anticipate they'll get to, like, is there a time frame for how far they'll go until winter starts?
Oh, so actually right now the plan is that they plan to work through the winter, so they're actually not going to shut down for the winter. So they're just working. They're pretty much starting next week, and you'll see them out there for the next 2 years. What we hope to gain from this is that the faster they get it done, the faster they're out of your hair, which everyone appreciates, and they don't want it to take any longer than it has to either. So by allowing them to work all the way through the winter, it actually helps.
Scott, do you want to add anything to the structure?
My name's Scott Whitney. I'm with MDR Construction. We're going to be the contractor. We're really pleased to be working in Winthrop. Very excited about the job. To answer your question, we're basically going to be leapfrogging, as Lisa said. We're going to start with the underground work, which is the most difficult work, most invasive work. When we get probably 3 500-foot sections ahead, we'll start with a second crew that'll come behind and start doing all of the curb work, the sidewalk work, and then we'll come back probably in the last phase of the project for all of the paving. That'll be a well-coordinated phase. So that's basically how we plan on approaching the project.
Thank you. It's a great project. I have 2 design questions. One is, you have serious deficiencies in crosswalk on the sidewalks. How's that going to be addressed?
So basically how that works right now is that we had to hold the back of sidewalk on both sides of the roadway. So we actually completely regraded the entire roadway to be ADA compliant 1.5% across the sidewalks, which is what it's allowed. And then pretty much all of the difference is made up in what the roadway cross-slope is. Right now, it's kind of reversed, where the roadway is pretty flat and then the sidewalks are very steep. So what we kind of did was we threw the steepness into the roadway and the cars that can handle it, and then the sidewalks got to be
So is
flatter.
the curb going to be much higher then, or?
No, it's about it varies between 4 inches and 6 inches.
Right.
per year.
And secondly, I didn't see a provision for bike lanes. Is there going to be a bike lane?
There is not going to be a bike lane. As we discussed in a few of the previous meetings, there's just not the cross section there right now without losing a parking lane. And the parking lane is actually a little more necessary right now. There will be sharrows painted in the lanes, so at least it alerts the driver that there could be a bicycle behind you. But there is not.
And
There's
people
no
ride bicycles on the sidewalk, and it's a so there's not enough room in that right of way for a bike lane?
No, so
On the
right now,
inside?
the cross-sectional area, it's a 6-foot sidewalk, 2 11-foot lanes, a 7-foot parking lane, and an 11-foot sidewalk, so there's just no cross-section between the wall and the back of the sidewalk on the residential side to squeeze that any further.
Thanks for the presentation, great project.
Yes, ma'am.
Will the Highlands Beach be accessible when either road work is being done in that area or the landscaping is being done?
So what we have right now is there were provisions that we had put in saying
Oh, the,
that there had to be access.
Right.
So this sidewalk will remain accessible so that you can bypass the whole park while they're doing construction in here. And then during non-work hours, we ask that they leave access for here, but
right. And also, Lisa, the work on the Highlands Park won't be starting until September, too, so.
Yes, sir.
Regarding that section right there, I'm not sure I follow it. Is that, the perpendicular thing, is that a wall?
This right here,
No, right there, yeah.
this is the wall so this is Shore Drive up here, and this is the wall that exists there now.
That little, okay, so there's still gonna be,
This wall here. So what we're doing is we're putting a new concrete face on this wall. This
Right.
is Shore Drive up here, and this is if you're standing in.
so there's still gonna be a pathway that goes all the way through there, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So, this is the sidewalk that exists now that gets you up to Shore Drive.
Right.
And that's being maintained, we're just replacing the sidewalk itself.
Okay, and how about the blacktop there?
So the blacktop is actually just turning into a concrete sidewalk. This is what's all blacktop right now.
Right.
We're just turning it into concrete.
Okay, and continuing further down, what are you gonna do there?
So this ends,
Yeah, that section right there.
yeah, so this is, right now the current work ends kind of right here at the inflection point. This part of the park right here, this wall is in great need of repair.
Right.
And until the wall gets repaired, we just didn't feel that it was appropriate to put anything above it. This is currently being investigated for sounding and seeing what actually needs to be done to repair that wall, at which
Okay,
time.
so that isn't the end of the
That's
project?
not the end.
Okay, just to follow up, and I brought this up at the last meeting, and I was told there's no, that, I just don't understand, you're gonna have somebody doing the landscaping over there, and when you have, and that you're not gonna have anything at the bathhouse there. Why should that look like a dump? Essentially, is my question. Yeah?
I mean, we will be redressing the site after we move the trailers.
Yeah, but nobody's got, and all you're gonna do is, somebody's gonna come along and sprinkle some grass seed, right? Why not, you know, you're doing all the landscaping here, why not do a little bit of landscaping at the bathhouse? You still have to have, the person responded by saying, who's gonna take care of lands? Who's gonna maintain it? You're gonna have somebody maintaining that area. How much more could it add a little landscaping and just, you know, I think, as far as I'm concerned, it's great that you're doing all this, and I really appreciate the fact that, you know, you brought up the berm and you got rid of the flooding, but I mean, you know, the balancing act that Mr. Roy talked about before, there should be a little bit of quality of life there. It shouldn't look terrible, you know?
Well, we're hoping it doesn't look terrible. I mean, we are talking about making it look better than it is. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm asking, what are you gonna do about it? What are you planning to
specific-
do about the beach house area? And I suppose we could really expand it, but I don't think you want to meeting up to that, about, you know, the beach itself. But, you know, as long as we're talking about construction here and the roadway, can something be done to just beautify that area a little?
Hi, I'm Julie Wallers. I chair the Transportation Committee here in town. I just want to say I'm so excited about these improvements in this project. Definitely disappointed about the lack of bike lanes. I understand it's about ADA compliance, right? You're saying there's not measurement. So if that's not possible, what is the speed limit on the road going to be?
We're at 25.
Okay, and I just want to make sure we pursue everything possible for traffic calming, because this is a big part of a regional bike network, you know, MAPC's landline, Liverpool Street's Emerald Network, so I think over time it's going to attract a lot of bicyclists, which we hope that it does, and the town's going to be doing a lot of that, so I just want to make sure it's, sharrows are better than nothing, but I don't know if there's any way a cycle track could be part of the sidewalk, could we squeeze that in, or just really, really push on the traffic calming, because speed kills ultimately, and people are going to be on the sidewalk. I mean, it's going to happen.
Great. So what we've experienced in other projects very similar to this, where we haven't had the room, traffic calming will naturally occur in, well, the bump outs help because you bring the curb line in, which naturally forces people to slow down. We're also restriping where there are no lanes out there right now, so if there's no car parked in the parking lane, you're free reign. And what we're also doing is we're actually narrowing the cross section of the roadway. So the lane widths, even if they were striped today, will be narrower than they exist right now. And kind of all of those things in conjunction will just naturally lead to a bit of traffic calming.
Right.
We are also posting speed limit signs at 25 miles an hour, and right now, the few signs that are posted are 30.
Would it be possible to make one side sidewalk a little more narrow in order to make the other side have a cycle track? Keeping the parking, putting travel lane parking, cycle track, sidewalk?
Not really. So basically, between both sides of the roadway, you've got 17 feet of sidewalk. So even if you cut one down to only 5 feet, that's not, that's only giving you 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people want to walk on the shore side.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it would be okay to take away from the other side as long as it's a decent sidewalk, but in order to increase the space and safety on the other side. Just something to consider. Just wanted to put that out there. Hope you keep it in mind, and thank you for doing this.
Hi, Mike and Lisa. Couple of things. We've talked about signage before, and keeps getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. We've talked about commercial trucks not being able to park after 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock the next morning, which would certainly open up parking spaces during this project. But it should also be considered as a permanent part of this project, because a lot of people park commercial trucks there and then take their cars home. So I'd like you to consider that as part of the signage. Also, I'd like to see, after the project's finished, speed limit signs. There are none right now on Shore Drive.
But they'll
Also,
be permanently installed.
right, we also need, clearly stated, dogs on beach signage. We also need trash cans. I've spoken to Mike about it. They did respond. We have gotten some oil cans. But of a project of this magnitude, where it's going to be a beautification project, I'm hoping that we'll have permanent trash cans that are bolted or whatever into the cement that look nice and aren't the oil cans that they generally put up around these projects. So I hope you consider those things in the process.
Hey, Stephen Gallo, Public Works. So I was very happy on your first slide to see the water main placement at the bottom. When will that, what phase of this phase will that take place?
We need to talk about that more.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Steve, we got to work out with you in the town how we can get that done.
But it is on there. We recognize that we do have compromised shallow main up there. 18 breaks in the last 10 years.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah,
Very good. Thank you.
Going back to this Highland Park plan, I missed where it's ending and what the plan is, the long-term plan is. I know it's ending, you're not doing the whole area.
No, so basically where the existing ramp ends and everything kind of narrows and then it goes back out. So there's some existing stairs right here that we're taking out and replacing with a ramp, so everything is actually accessible, so you can get yourself up into the park.
Yeah,
So that's pretty much the dividing line right now.
okay, so that's a very small area. And the rest of it is because of the
remaining
seawall,
as is.
there's a problem that you have to
Yes, so
reconstruct?
that wall is in need of repair.
Okay,
And to put anything there now and then come back to repair the wall later and then have to rip out what just got
so
put in.
what's the time frame for the seawall repair?
We don't have a time frame yet. Obviously, it's a very large seawall, and you know, and
Yeah.
we have to, there's a lot more work that has to be done without
Pretty
them.
much runs that, pretty much that.
Yeah, well, the fence, well, I don't know what the fence is about.
There's a new fence that was put up this week, so I'm curious what the plan is for that fence and that area.
Oh, so yeah, the fence that is there is actually just the equipment storage area for the contractors. That's where they're storing all their machinery because there's no room on the roadway to store it, so.
So-
It's not a permanent installation, it comes back out at the end of construction. It was strictly just for everyone's safety, it gets fenced in so you don't have kids climbing on it or vandalism or things of that nature. Not that any kids would climb on big construction vehicles. But the fenced in area that's currently right here is just the area that was given to the contractor to store all their equipment.
All right, so there's currently no money set aside for, beyond that short area.
Not at present.
Not at present, right, that's correct.
Okay. So how do we go about securing that?
Well, it's a large, I mean, that is a substantial project. It's going to be a larger project than this whole project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a matter of,
So that's just gonna be left like crumbling and the bars all rusted still and decaying until, till when? You know, when is it gonna be addressed? It's pretty bad.
The three stairs where that
Right.
liners are crumbling. all
yeah.
the-
I mean, there are a lot of seawalls that obviously we have to address as the DCR, and we know this is one of them. We don't have a schedule out for all these different seawalls. They are extremely large projects that we have to get a handle on.
Okay, well, I thought it was supposed to be included in this project, too, so you gave us a little bit. And in the stairs at the end of that area now,
Yes.
what's going on with that area?
We just had we just had our operation group go out there and rebuild the stairs at the end. I don't know if you noticed that. They've reestablished the wood frame.
These stairs were just.
No, she's like
the
one
far
on
end,
the far
the
end.
end where you're not
Yeah,
touching, they were blocked
that was
off.
brought to our attention, and we got operations out there. And if you notice, they redid the railing all the way down, and redid supports on all the stairs, and they made those safe for the year.
The question I think is, here's a number way beyond where you're supposed to.
Right.
Has things changed now that you were arguing without that far and actually replace those gears, which obviously get killed if you try to walk down, and come back this way?
Off Cliff Ave.
Is something developing that?
No,
might
he's
get
saying no.
in that area?
Off Cliff Ave, operations just went out there and replaced the wood on all those stairs.
I mean, is it going to be part of the future of this project? That's what I'm asking.
They're saying no?
Well,
Is that area going to be addressed to any greater degree?
I mean, when we
Other than
would,
the stair area?
I mean, when we handle the seawall and that sort of thing, we can handle those stairs as well.
So one more thing, I don't know if you remember me from before, and the whole kayak launch idea. She remembers it. Is there any natural place that could happen within what you're doing now?
Unfortunately, no, not the way, so for those that weren't here last time, they asked if there was any way for basically these stairs to be turned into a ramp of some sort, or for an additional ramp to be placed somewhere so that you could actually bring a kayak down to the beach and launch it from that area, which is a great idea. Unfortunately, those stairs cannot be turned into a ramp, nor can you actually add any additional structures onto the beach. That is a state regulatory permitting issue. We can't add any, a multiple number of agencies just don't allow any hard anything anymore. What you can do is you can repair things that already exist because they're grandfathered in, or you can basically replace in kind, but you can't add anything new. So unfortunately for right now, unless any kind of regulations change, what's out there is what's out there. Though I understand that it is far, but the ramp a little further down at Hawthorne right here is actually a ramp. But at Hawthorne Street, there's a ramp here that actually could allow you beach access, and it's a fairly shallow ramp. It's not particularly hard to navigate, but unfortunately there is no way of currently adding a ramp to any section up here.
Okay. So who do we send our cards and letters to get the rest of that seawall area done?
You can send it to me.
Okay. All right, well, that's all I have. Thank you.
Gentlemen in the back, please.
Could you go back to the traffic management slide? The last time you were here, I brought to your attention that Shirley Street is a one-way street. And it's poorly marked at the intersection that it's do not enter one way. So every day I see at least 2 cars come down Shirley Street the wrong way. And you were going to make plans to address the signage and make it much more obvious.
There will be much larger construction grade do not enter signs placed at your decision point here at Cutler, which is where I presume a lot of people are making the wrong turn.
Yeah, oh yeah, quite.
So yeah,
It's really because of the poor signage, it's
And
not
you-
because they're trying to get a short
signage helps tremendously. You can't correct people's bad driving, but
But it
signage absolutely
it really
helps.
isn't their bad driving,
So,
it's the signage.
Yes, there will be 2 large do not enter signs posted there as part of the detour route, and then they'll just stay.
And the signs will be identical to each other.
Yeah, it's should actually have one there now, but it's a red circle, says do not enter, and there's like a white bar in the middle. Shouldn't know this off the top of my head.
Will those signs be larger than the signs that are there now?
I don't know what the signs that are there now
They're
look
pretty
like,
small.
but they're about 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide, generally speaking. So it's pretty big to see from your car.
Okay.
It's a standard, what we call an ETCD. It's just a standard sign that should go in every application where you're coming out a one-way street. They're just typically just automatically put there, but for whatever reason, those aren't properly signed. So yeah, we'll make sure that.
Thank you so much.
I have a question. Up at the top of the beach, where the stairs are, like, someone that's handicapped, well, there's a ramp that goes all the way down.
Yes.
But for people that can't really move well, they're still gonna probably use the stairs because it's more directed towards the beach than it is the ramp going all the way down past those houses.
Right, so what'll happen here is that this ramp that leads down here is already ADA accessible, so that we're just resurfacing them, but it will stay. The stairs that are here will still stay stairs, but they have been rehabilitated, so at least they're not dangerous for people to go down. Unfortunately, there is no way to get true ADA access down to the beach at this location, so your next access point would be that ramp at Hawthorne. If you are able to navigate the stairs will remain there, and you can absolutely use that, but unfortunately, there's just no way to get you actually down to the beach, just due to the grade break. It's about a 15-foot drop, which is really difficult to navigate.
I'm a little new to this project, but what I'm really concerned about, you haven't mentioned anything, so I take it it's a no go. What about the rest of the beach? Where the sand had eroded, there's nothing in stone. Are you doing anything on that?
So the we've analyzed that, and the wave interaction in those high energy zones is really causing that cobble to stay where it is. We are enhancing the areas where we do have sand. I don't know if you've seen, we have more raking out there. We've done some area, we did some work trying to clear areas of cobble to encourage birds to go one area, so we have larger areas for the people. And we're trying to enhance the Highlands area where we do have sand as well. So that's.
The point you're enhancing, which I appreciate, about how many square feet of the stone is still in
I'm sorry, that's square feet of.
You said
stone.
you're going to enhance it at various points.
Well, there are areas where there is sand collecting, and we've been doing raking where those are.
Well, to make it clear, what I'm concerned about is how much of an area with the rocks is going to remain with rocks.
Well, pretty much the areas that are exposed from that jetty to about Pearl, that area will have that cobble ridge there. It's kind of part of the storm protection that we have now.
And that's what we have covered?
What-
Is there modulation?
Well, if we covered it, it would just wash away due to the wave, the high energy zone where it is. The sand would just wash again to where you see the sand collecting behind the Five Sisters. So right now we're monitoring the storm protection aspect of that berm, and we're making sure that stays in place because that was the primary goal of that. And we're trying to enhance where we do have sand for people to go to.
First of all, I want to thank you for all this work that you're planning. It's going to be a great improvement to your area. In terms of the construction, I want to bring up the issue of dust control, because a project of this magnitude is going to create a lot of asphalt dust, cement dust, dirt particles in the air, and this is really a public health issue because these kind of dusts are very toxic to the respiratory system. So that being said, there are very simple ways to basically eliminate the dust produced. And I wanted, this is a question for the contractor really, what kind of plans do you have for doing dust control, eliminating the dust?
Scott can answer that, but I know their plan is to have a water truck on site at all times and ready to go. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but they have submitted the plan where they'll be ready to address dust right away.
Is that plan going to be available for us to look at?
Yeah.
We can make it available for you to look at. We can submit it to DCR so that you can see it. We do have a water truck. We do have sweepers with water on them. So we'll make every effort not to create dust. It's not only unhealthy for you, but it's unhealthy for us as workers too.
So in the last phase of the project, dust control was written into the order of conditions, but it was not really followed, and it was only really by the efforts of the Conservation Commission that any kind of dust control at all was followed. It was a tremendous effort every single day.
We will be making the effort every day. Jimmy's, the resident engineer has already brought it to our attention. It's a main point of contention down there. It's a main point for us as workers, but it will be addressed daily.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Gill. I just had a question. I was late, so I don't want to be redundant. I just urge you to, on the maintenance, after this is finished, we have currently 4 sweepings a year, once a month, and I would urge that at least we have 2 a month, and I would also urge the regular raking where the sand is. So those are my 2 concerns. The project looks good other than that. Thank you.
Hi, I've been to a number of meetings, so Jerry, I'll fill you in. We've done the cobble. Anyway, I'm a lifetime resident of Beacon Street, so I have watched a million changes in my lifetime, and I'm thrilled that you're beginning at Beacon Street because the drainage is unbelievably poor. People are going to lose cars, and I'm not kidding. In the last week, it's been really, really bad. So I'm, for one, thrilled. I will be inconvenienced, but I'm thrilled. I'm not in favor of a number of things which I've mentioned in the past, but whatever, I've said what I've said. You've done what you've done. You've done a nice, transparent presentation. I'm very concerned, even though I have a place to park my car because I live on Beacon Street. I don't think this is working. There are a ton of people that don't have any parking in the beach area because we have lots of 2 and 3 families and multiple cars. I think losing those spaces is going to be enormously difficult for them. And I watch people in my neighborhood scramble all the time as soon as the lights go on and we can't park on our streets. So all I can ask is that you continue to keep that in mind. You might have to enforced a strict plan, you have to be out of here by. And then as far as maintenance, I too am concerned. I work in Lynn, so I drive along the ocean every day for about 35 years. And I see them with these little vehicles cleaning the broad sidewalks in Revere Beach. And I'm hoping it's in the long-term maintenance plan that Winthrop will have its own vehicle and personnel allocated. Because right now the snow goes on the sidewalk. So now we're gonna have wider sidewalks, less space to drive. So that snow has to get off the street. I presume it'll go on the sidewalk, and I guess you can't put it on the ocean side. So where you put it, I don't know, that's your problem. But I'm looking forward to it being removed in a timely manner because I'm always impressed what's done in Revere. And we always feel like we're the stepsister. And as far as communication, I think our town just did a fabulous job with the tall ships. I mean, there were 3 pages in our weekly newspaper about communication. So I'm hopeful that all the town leaders will be informed when it comes time for traffic rerouting. I mean, there's so many vehicles, trash, recycling, vans, school, elder type pickups. You know, and a lot of those roads are one way. So I know I'm gonna be rerouted 5 days a week, but you know, it's a challenge. So I'm looking forward that we all have good, I'm on your email and I appreciate what I get. So thank you and good luck.
That is one thing I wanted to mention. So there will be those large variable message signs pretty much posted throughout the project, just warning you, yeah, there's a new traffic pattern. We're working between this block and this block for this week. Seek alternate route, that kind of stuff. So we're making every effort to give you ample notice. Also be aware that sometimes things change and it might not be as much notice as you want, but we'll always make every effort to let you know at least a week in advance when something major is changing, when you're losing parking spaces, when all of a sudden the water needs to get shut down for some reason or something like that. So there's plenty of times where you're going to need to hear from us and you're going to want to hear from us, and we're going to absolutely, you're probably going to be sick of hearing from me by the end of this, but that'd be a great position to be in. So, but those variable message signs should be actually going up next week, I think, just to kind of be like, hey, guess what, it's coming, be aware. So.
Hi, I'm Diane Harris, and I have a couple of questions, or 3. And the first one would be, are you going to have any parking spaces painted on the roadway?
You mean like they're tipped off the review? No.
No.
So they're not actually, it works both ways. Sometimes you can fit more cars in if you don't, and sometimes you fit less cars in if it all depends on people park. So it's kind of a personal preference thing. There will be no spaces physically marked except for handicap spaces. There will be 7 handicap spaces specifically marked out on the road. There were 2 spaces, I believe, that were specifically put there for certain residents, so those are being maintained. And then we tried to locate them at certain other beach entrances, just so that you're kind of where you want to be. So those will be specifically marked out and striped on the roadway. The rest of the parking lane is just kind of open park as you will.
I'm also wondering, the landscaping you're putting in up by the Highlands, will it be maintained after it's put in?
That is the plan, yeah. It's going to fall under DCR operations.
Good. And then my last question is about lighting. Right now on the residential side, there are telephone poles and then they have lighting attached to them. Are you taking those down, or what are you doing?
No, we had looked into that. Unfortunately, those poles are owned by National Grid, and they are what we call tension poles, which means they're the last pole in a line, and they're what keep all the other poles down the street standing up. So they can't come down. And when we found that out, our original plan was to replace them with actual light poles. But when we found out that they'd have to stay anyway by the time you have a utility pole plus an actual light pole adjacent to it, plus a fire hydrant or whatever else, you actually lose your ADA access at the corners. So all that lighting is staying, and what we are doing is just on the beach side, we're adding the additional lighting to give you the proper lighting levels, and those will be ornamental fixtures similar to what's down at Lynn Beach.
So they're still going to have those really bright lights?
Yeah, all the lighting that exists out there now stays, and then it'll just be additional lighting on the beach side.
I have seen some improvement to the lighting in that it's, some of it is facing downward,
Yes.
but
some of it is still.
And I think within the last year or so, I want to say everything got switched to LED lights from the halogen that they were before. So,
Thank you.
The new ones will all be LED.
I have one more question. Because it came up on the whole question about the sand migrating down to the lagoon area and choking off some of the marine life in there. I don't know where that went. I don't know if you're working with the town or if there any plan to open that up or resolve that problem. So if you could just fill us in on what's going on with that, if anything.
Yeah, the sand from our project seems, in the analysis, is moving behind the Five Sisters. So I think that when we showed that before, there was a natural closing that was happening up there, and that had happened. So that's where that stands.
I think there was some opposition to that viewpoint, whether that was a natural occurrence, as it seemed to have sped up after this project that the lagoon was filling in. So, you know, I don't know. You've not discussed it with the town or engineers or about opening it back up. Well, it's just disappointing to say that, oh, well, that was happening anyway, when it appears that it wasn't. Not at this rate of filling in that lagoon area. All right, thank you.
Hey, everybody. You're going to be seeing me for quite a while. Like you say, my name's Jim Caputo, and what I love about these opening meetings is some of the things that you guys bring up, we think about and thought about and prepare for, and there's some that we are new to us that, like the street signing on near Shirley. We're going to take a look at that. We'll go put signs up. So we're going to be proactive. You guys asked for crosswalks to be buffed up. We buffed them up, So we're gonna do the best we can to make this a smooth operation. My office door is open all the time. Just come by, have a complaint or a request, or just want to tell me what a great job I'm doing. I appreciate that. So, like I said, you know where I am, and I really appreciate all your concern. I mean, it's a full house, and that's just great on your behalf. It shows that you're really concerned for our project. So we'll do the best we can for you. Okay? Michelle? Thanks, Jim.
We all have a good man in Jim Caputo, so we're very pleased that he's here overseeing that project. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I hope we've answered your questions. Again, let's continue the dialogue as the project goes on. I also want to acknowledge that Kathy Young from Senator Boncore's office has joined us, so you're well represented by your elected officials. Thank you so much, and I appreciate in advance your patience as we go through this project. I hope that you see from the presentation that when this is over, we're all going to have a much better roadway, much better beach access, and a much better environment to improve the quality of life for you and all the visitors to Winthrop Beach. So thank you for coming, and have a safe trip home.